Hello viewers, I am Ikram subject specialist and you are watching my YouTube channel English with Ikram. Today's video is very important for pronunciation. In this video I am going to discuss a very important phonological rule. This rule will help you to pronounce some very difficult words. Difficult word in the sense that normally people pronounce these words incorrectly. Just for a sort of demonstration, just pronounce these words. Word number one is worked. You might have heard pronouncing these people when this da sound, it becomes ta. But normally people don't know. You can't pronounce this word as worked. The ending sound, this is though, apparently it's da sound. But when you pronounce this word, it becomes ta. Try to pronounce this word, worked. You can't pronounce this word as worked. It is worked. The last sound is t. It's worked. Worked. You can't even pronounce this word as worked. The next word is jumped. Try to pronounce it like jumped. Da sound at the end of the word. You can't pronounce it. It is jumped. Again, this da sound is t. Why? What's the reason? Do you know what is the reason why this da sound is changed into t? Next word, talked. I have talked to him. You can't pronounce this. You can't say like I have talked to him. Even we cannot pronounce it. We cannot say talked. If you just try to say talked, you get confused. Even you can't pronounce it. It is talked. Talked. Ta sound. So in these three words, the ending sound, which is da, it becomes ta. But the question is, do you know why? What is the reason? Now look at these three words. The same da sound at the end of these words. Rubbed. Here, da remains da. The same da sound at the end of the word, but why not? Why this da sound is not changed into ta? Here it remains da. Rubbed. Here you can't say rubbed. Naturally, when you try to pronounce this word, you say rubbed, rubbed. You cannot say rubbed. If you try to say, it looks awkward. The way over here, when you try to say worked, it looks awkward. Same is the case over here, when you try to pronounce the word as rubbed, following this thing that we have discussed in first three words, it will look like very strange and very awkward. Here, the pronunciation is rubbed. Da remains da. One more word, judged. I have judged him. He has judged me wrongly. Judged. Here again, da remains da. You cannot change it into ta. Naturally, when you try to pronounce this word, it remains da, judged. You can't say judged as in the first three words. The next word, look at this word, begged. Begged, to request for something. He has begged. Again the same. Da remains da. It's not being changed into ta, as in the first three words. Now the question is, what is the reason why here in these three words da sound has been changed into ta, and why not in these three words da remains da? What is the reason behind it? So this is a rule, a phonological rule that I am going to discuss. You will find it very interesting. Listen to me carefully and then try to follow this very important rule for this pronunciation. So here the rule is, first of all, you have to learn voiceless and voiced consonant. Voiced and voiceless consonant. I have discussed sounds, you can watch my videos and sounds and pronunciation. There is a playlist on my channel. You can watch the video to learn about the sound of English language, how many sounds are there, what is the consonant sound, what's the vowel sound, how many sounds are consonant, how many sounds are vowel sound, how do we pronounce the sound. I have discussed all these things in detail. You can watch those videos in the playlist of sound and pronunciation on my channel. So here I am going to discuss first what is a voiceless consonant and what's a voiced consonant. There are some consonants, some sounds especially which are voiced and which are voiceless. So how would you identify the simple thing? First, as I have discussed, all the consonant sound, all the sounds are in pairs, as in p, b, t, d, k, g, ch, j, sh, y, s, z, t, d. So all these are in pair. So in these pair, the first sound is normally voiceless, and the second out of that pair, the second sound is voiced. For example, if I have discussed all the sound, you can watch that video. P, b, this is one pair. The first sound, p, is voiceless, and the second, in this pair, the second one is voiced. This is one simple technique. The next thing, when we utter a particular sound, normally it happens here. If you look at, if you put just your finger over here, you will feel some sort of vibration in case of voiced consonant. These are some organs of speech which are involved in the articulation of different sound. So one thing is vocal cord here under larynx. So when you pronounce a sound, voiced sound, these vocal cords, these vibrate. You can feel this vibration by putting your finger over here. When, for example, I say p, you don't feel any sort of vibration over by putting your finger over here. But when you pronounce the word b, there is some sort of vibration. The next pair, for example, k and g. In another pair, while pronouncing the first sound k, there isn't any sort of vibration. But when you say g, anybody can feel this sort of vibration by putting your finger over here on vocal cords. This is another methodology, the technique of identifying voiced and voiceless consonant. One, these sounds are in pair. The first one is voiceless, the second one is voiced. You can watch my video on sounds of English language and consonant sound, and another video is there. I think there is practice of consonant sound. You can watch video if you want to learn all the consonant sound, because without learning the sound, you cannot comprehend, you cannot learn this phonological rule, which is based on voiceless and voiced consonant. So here, what is voiceless consonant? All the sounds, all the consonant sound, when we pronounce those particular sound, there isn't any sort of vibration. Vocal cords don't vibrate. These sounds are called voiceless consonants, voiceless sounds. And when these vocal cords vibrate in the articulation of certain sound, these sounds are called voiced sounds. Right? So what is the rule? The rule that I am going to discuss over here, that is, if a word that ends with da sound, and before da sound, if there is voiceless consonant, da remains, da becomes ta before a word which is voiceless consonant. Da becomes ta when it comes before a voiceless consonant at the end of a word. Da sound when it comes at the end of a word, like here in worked, before a voiceless consonant. For example, when we say worked, da is over here, but before da is ka. Ka is voiceless consonant. So this da becomes ta. Right? Look at this rule again. Da becomes ta at the end of a word. One thing that you must keep in mind, this rule is applicable on the words when da sound comes at the end of a word. Da sound when it comes at the end of a word, and before this da sound there is a voiceless consonant. That may be ka, that may be, for example, this pa, as in the words jumped. Pa, da sound at the end of a word, before that it's pa. If you see there is e. This sound is not being pronounced. We have no concern with the letters. Keep this thing in mind. We are concerned with the sounds. When I say jumped, j, m, p, and ta, the e is just a letter. It's not being pronounced while pronouncing the word. In our spoken language, there are certain letters which are not pronounced. As I have given this example that when we say knowledge, there are 9 alphabets, 9 letters. But when we pronounce this sound, this word, there are just 5 sounds. So spoken language is totally different than written language. We write letters, but sometimes we don't pronounce those letters. Those letters are silent. So here, this E This is there in the spelling, this E letter is there, but when we pronounce this particular word, we don't pronounce it. Because letter has no concern with spoken language. So, another word, again it's K. It's a voiceless consonant, and after K, at the end of a word is da sound, again it will become T. When we say it will be talked. So you have to keep this rule in mind, and you have to find out some more words where da sound comes at the end of a word, and before da sound there is a voiceless consonant. Then you will pronounce that particular word, and that it will be, da will become ta, right? And then the rule is, when da sound comes at the end of a word and before da sound there is voiced consonant. These sounds, p, g, j, th, tha, da, d, and n, ing, and all the vowel sounds. Vowel sound sari jo hain, all the vowel sounds are voiced, and there are certain consonant sounds which are voiceless. Here, when we say rubbed, da sound comes at the end of a word, and before da sound, when we say rubbed, r, a, b, and d, it's d at the end of a word, and before da it's b, which is a voiced consonant. So here da will remains in da remains da when it comes before a voiced consonant. When it comes after a voiced consonant, it remains da. Look at this word judge, ch and j, cha, cha, j, j. There is some sort of vibration you can feel by putting your finger over here. And when da sound comes at the end of a word, and before da there is this j sound, there is some sort of vibration, it's voiced consonant, da remains da. The next word is begged, ga, this one. This is again voiced consonant, so da sound comes at the end of a word, and before da sound it's j, ja sound, which is a voiced consonant, so it will remain d. So this is the rule you have to practice. You have to find out some more word, at least three words for practicing of this very interesting rule, phonological rule, that when da sound comes at the end of a word, after a voiceless consonant, da sound becomes ta. You have to pronounce it like t. It changes its features. And when da sound comes at the end of a word, and after a voiced consonant, it remains ta. You have to practice this rule. That's very important if you want to improve your pronunciation. From pronunciation point of view, that rule is very important. There are very rare rules in English language, especially of pronunciation. As regard pronunciation, in the native speaker they are confused, because pronunciation in English language is very tricky and very confusing. There are no hard and fast rules. So when we find rules, we get excited that at last we have found some rules. So this is very important rule for pronunciation. You have to practice it. You have to find some new words just for your practice. So I hope that you might have liked this video. If you are new on my channel, subscribe my channel right now. Share it with your friends, like videos, and comment if you want to ask any question. Your question will definitely be answered, inshallah. That's all for today. Thank you very much.